Welcome everybody. My name is Joanne. We'll be doing some yoga today that is beneficial if you are currently fasting. It has been my honor and pleasure to be able to work with Muslim Space in Austin, Texas at muslimspace.org via Austin Yoga Tree. And I'll post their links in the comment section in this video today so you can find out more information about them. To find out more info about me, I'm at yogitayoga.org, which I'll also list in the comment section. So I've designed this class as a series through Ramadan. Fasting is a really beneficial practice for our mind and body, but we can also feel the effects of that over some time. So this class is designed to help improve our quality of sleep, to increase our energy levels, to help reduce fatigue and headaches, and just overall bring a sense of balance back to our bodies and ourselves. As usual, I want you to feel comfortable and safe in this practice. I'll give us lots of opportunities today to modify our poses. If at any time something doesn't feel comfortable, you just slowly come out of a posture, take a break, no big deal. We just really want to move with our breath and feel a little bit more centered today. This class and this series is going to be a little bit more gentle, so we'll stay seated or on the ground for the whole class. And then I'll have a couple more videos that I'll do for other variations of our fasting classes to practice. We will start in a seated position. If you are sitting up in a chair on your sofa, that's totally fine. That will take the legs, the hips, and knees out of the equation. So for a lot of us, it just feels more comfortable to sit upright. Sitting down on the floor can be a little bit of a challenge. So those of us that will be sitting up on a chair, I want you to sit more towards the edge of the chair so that your feet are firmly placed on the ground here, and so that we're putting some effort into our posture versus slouching and leaning back into the back of your sofa or your chair. So when we sit up, we want to try to maintain the natural curves of the spine here, be able to float the head easily on our shoulders, arms are relaxed by the side body, and our palms can just be resting down on our thighs. Now, those of us that want to take the more traditional seated version to start our yoga class here, we can come down onto the ground. I would still highly recommend sitting up on something. So that will elevate our hips and our pelvis, and again, help us keep a nice neutral spine. I personally have this meditation cushion here. It's a few inches high that I'll sit on. And I'll give us a moment because we might also want to have some props towards the end of class. So if you haven't gathered things up already, a small pillow or a folded bath towel can come in handy to support the back of the head when we do lie down on the ground. I have a washcloth here that can act as a nice eye covering, just creating some darkness for the eyes when we get into our relaxation. And then a larger pillow off your bed, and this can help support the weight of the legs as well. So if you want to take a moment to gather up some of those things, we'll go ahead and do that. And then we'll get ourselves comfortable in our seated posture. So again, you'll either be propped up in your chair or elevate yourself on a folded blanket, a cushion, and taking Sukhasana, which is our easy cross pose, crossing at the ankles. Adjust your clothing. We want to be as comfortable as possible, and we want to make our adjustments in the beginning so that we can find stillness in the end. Placing the hands, palms down on the knees. Let your shoulders fall away from the ears. We'll start with a little bit of centering today to reconnect to our body, our breath, and the brain. And then we'll start with a breathing exercise, Nadi Shodhanam, our alternate breathing, our pranayama. And then we'll go into more of our movements for the body. So once you've organized your seat, you want to sit up nice and tall through the front of the body. Ears are floating over shoulders and shoulders over hips. Let the crown of the head extend up towards the ceiling. And then we'll start to soften our gaze, closing the eyelids and redirecting our attention inward. When you close the eyes, if you notice that you need to make an adjustment here, go ahead and do so, and then bring yourself back to your posture. Continue to lift and lengthen through the front of the body, opening up across the chest and the heart. Lift and lengthen up the back of the body, vertebra by vertebra. Relax all the little muscles across the face here. Soften the forehead and around the brow and the eyes. If you hold tension around the jaw, poof your cheeks with air, wiggle out the mouth, tongue, and jaw for a moment. Again, feel the weight of the shoulders, the elbows hanging beside the body, the gentle weight of the hands on the knees. As the upper half of the body continues to lengthen, we want to relax the lower half of the body. So soften around the hip creases, the hip sockets. Relax down the thighs, behind the knees, and all the way down the legs into the ankles, feet, and toes. Letting go of any unnecessary tension or tightness we might find. And if we also come across any areas in the body that we might be taking care of today, let's pause on those areas for a moment. Send a healing breath into them. And on the exhale, allow those areas to relax. Remembering that we each have permission to modify our practice without ever forcing or pushing our body into our pose. And now let's begin to spread our awareness to the rhythm of the breath. Simply begin by observing and watching the body breathe in. And observe and watch the body breathe out. Breathing as smoothly and evenly as possible in and out through the nose. Notice the subtle movements of the breath in the body. We'll begin to notice that our body naturally expands as it fills itself up with some fresh air and energy today. And the body naturally contracts as it exhales away stale old air and energy. And now let's concentrate on the flow of this breath a little bit more around the nostrils and the tip of the nose. Some of us might notice that one nostril is more open than the other, which is totally normal and natural. The sides tend to shift throughout the day. So if that's the case, you might notice your right nostril is a little bit more open, the air flowing a little bit more freely. Just make a mental note of that. Remembering that we make these observations without judgment and labeling anything good or bad. We're simply acting as a witness, looking from the outside in. Let's all cycle through one more complete breath at your own rhythm and pace. Our next inhale, start to flutter those eyelids open, bringing our awareness back to the space around us. And we're going to give our legs a quick break here. So if we're sitting on the floor cross-legged, help your knees up, stretch your legs out for a moment, pedal your feet, massage up and down those legs, let the blood rush back down to the feet. If you're up on a chair, stretch one leg out at a time, flexing the foot. Again, opening up the backs of the knees here, just giving your legs a quick break. And then we'll come back into our seated pose for our breathing exercise today. So sit up tall on your chair. If you're on your seat, try to place the opposite leg in front. So whichever way you were seated before, place the opposite foot in front. So we'll start by bringing both hands into Chin Mudra, which means seal of wisdom or knowledge, touching the index finger to thumb and the other three fingers are extended. Rest the hands back down on the knees, palms up. And then in your right hand, we'll take Nasagra Mudra. So you begin by making the peace symbol with the index finger and middle finger, and then you glue the index and middle finger together. Open the thumb, the ring, and the pinky fingers. So these will be our pinchers when we practice this. We'll turn the right hand towards the face, and you take the index finger and middle finger and press it right into that eyebrow center, the space between the brows. That is an acupressure point, and it also just helps hold our head up. The head gets tired and wants to fall forward, so we're lifting the head back up into our posture. Now place the thumb on the outside of the right nostril and the ring and pinky on the outside of the left nostril. Closing the eyes when you feel ready, we'll begin by inhaling through both nostrils and exhaling through both nostrils. Then close the right nostril with the thumb and inhale just through the left. Close the left, open the right, and exhale. Inhale back through the right. Close right, open left, and exhale. That's one round. Inhale left. Close left, open right, exhale. Inhale back through the right. Close right, open left, exhale. That's 2 rounds. Inhale left. Close left, open right, exhale. Inhale back through the right. Close right, open left, exhale. That's 3 rounds. Try to take 3 more rounds at your own rhythm and pace. Keep the mind very concentrated on the movement and the evenness of the breath. If the right arm starts to get heavy, take the left hand under the right elbow to prop up the arm and keep the head nice and tall. If one side is more closed than the other, just do your best to breathe as evenly as possible in through that side. When you get to your 3rd round, we should finish with an exhale out the left nostril. Take your time getting there. You'll exhale out that left nostril. We'll keep the eyes closed. We'll bring both hands back into chin mudra on the knees, palms up. And simply just observe the effects of that breath work on the mind, the body, and obviously the breath. Some of us might notice a change of airflow now from the left side to the right side. And on the inhale, flutter the eyelids back open, slowly bringing our awareness back to our space. So that breathing technique also opens the sinuses. So if that happened for you, feel free to grab a tissue and take the time to clear your sinuses. So let's give your legs another quick break, and then we'll do just a couple more seated postures here before we start to move the whole body. So you'll float your legs up. You can make a mental note of which foot you had in front. Give them a little wiggle, pedal your feet, massage up and down those legs. If you're in the chair, stretch one foot up at a time, flex those feet, pull your toes in towards your shin bones. So we can reverse that cross one more time. If we're seated, find our sit bones. Continue to sit up nice and tall. Minding our surroundings, extend the arms out from beside the body, palms up. Let's take another deep breath in through the nose, and this time just float your arms all the way up to the ceiling for a nice big stretch. Turn your palms back out and exhale, float the fingertips to the floor. Seated triangle pose, keep both sit bones equally rooted, draw in through the low belly to protect the back. Inhale, breathing, float your right arm up beside the ear, and then lean to your left into a lateral extension here. Our inhale pulls those arms back up. You'll switch sides. Exhale, lean to your right. Again, inhale, use your muscles to float up out of the pose. We'll go one more time to the side, stretching up the waist, the rib cage, the shoulder. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, lean one more time to the right side, stretching the whole left. Inhale, reach both arms up towards the ceiling here. Bring your palms to touch and exhale the hands in front of the heart. Seated twist. Float your right fingertips behind you. Keep your spine nice and tall. There's no weight in that back hand. If you're up in a chair on the sofa, you can actually just place your arm across the back of the chair. Turn your left palm up towards the ceiling. Keeping the spine tall, try to slide the back of that hand across the opposite knee. We'll take a deep breath in to lengthen the spine, and on our exhale, gently start to twist to your right. So you're rotating through the shoulders, through the neck. Let your head follow, trying to peek behind you. And let's give our eyes a nice big stretch here as well. So open your eyes as wide as you can, looking to that furthest point behind you without strain. Just wringing everything out. Take another deep breath in through the nose. The exhale will unwind. So release the head, the shoulders, and the body to face back forward. Inhale, both arms up, big stretch. Bring the palms to touch, and exhale, hands to heart. Same thing, other side. Left fingertips will float behind you. No weight in the hand. We're still propped up nice and tall. Or bring it behind the back of your chair. Turn the right palm up to the ceiling, and then slide the back of that hand across the opposite knee without rounding the back. Sit up tall. Breathe it in. The exhale, gently start to rotate and twist to your left. Let the shoulder blades, the neck, the head, and those eyes follow. So open the eyes nice and wide. Peek behind you. It's like taking a washcloth and wringing everything out. The twists are really healthy for our internal organs and our digestive system. Another deep breath in. And on this next exhale, release the head and the body to face back forward. One more time. Inhale, both arms up, big stretch. Bring your palms to touch, and exhale the hands to the heart. Let's give those legs another break, stretch them out. So now we're going to start to move the whole body, getting rid of tension and tightness and the muscles, loosening up our joints. You can stay in your chair if you're there. The rest of us will move off of our prop and come into tabletop pose. So in tabletop pose, spread the fingers nice and wide. Your hands are as broad as the shoulders, and we are stacking the joints here. So I'm placing my shoulders over my wrists. My hips are over my knees, thigh bones perpendicular to the floor. I have a little bit of space between my knees and my feet, about hips width apart. You're welcome to take your towel or a blanket as extra cushion. We want to keep our drishti or our gaze slightly forward so the neck stays long, and press into the earth so you're nice and strong. Now round that low belly in to keep the low back flat and the hips level. Simply stretch your right foot back behind you, ball the foot to the floor, and then you shift your way back to that heel to intensify the stretch up the back of the leg. So we're opening up the eye of the knee, giving that leg a nice big stretch from all the sitting we just did. If you're in your chair, hands to thighs, stretch your right leg forward, float the leg up. You'll feel a little strengthening here across the front of the quad. Really want you to try to pull your toes into your shin bone and use your abdominal muscles to sit up tall. On the exhale, bring the right knee back down or the foot to the floor. Keep your hips level, weight equally in your hands on the ground, and stretch your left foot back behind you or up in front of you. If it's lifted, the toes are flexing, pulling into the shin bone. You're going to be using a little bit more of your abdominal muscles and thigh muscles to hold the leg up. If we're on the ground, shift that heel back as much as you want to intensify that stretch. And then bring the left knee back down. Once again, stretch your right leg back behind you. We'll do a little bit of strengthening and balance work here. So we'll use the support of our core. Squeeze the back side to hover your right leg parallel to the floor now. Toes pointing straight down, hips trying to stay nice and level. The inhale will stretch your left arm straight forward from the shoulder, palm in, thumb up. It's called spinal integration, working opposite sides of the body. If you feel shaky and wobbly, that's normal. Notice your breath, let it flow smoothly and freely in and out through the nose. My chair people, your right leg is extended and lifted, and your left arm reaches up from the body. So again, you're still doing opposites. Let's all take one more big breath in. The exhale, bring the hand and the foot or the knee back down to the ground in your neutral position. Keep your hips level, mind where your head is in space, and then stretch your left leg back or up. Use the back side if you're on the floor to lift that leg parallel to the floor. The foot is actively flexed, toes pointing down. And then inhale, stretch the right arm out from the shoulder or up towards the ceiling in your seat, working opposite sides of the body. So this pose helps tone and strengthen the whole body, especially the back line of our body, which is really important to help improve our posture. Let's all take one more deep breath in, and then exhale, bring the hand and the knee back down to the ground. We'll flow through a couple rounds of cat-cow here. If your wrists need to take a break, we come up under our fingertips, so you round through the knuckles of the hand and drive your fingertips into the floor, or you make strong fists and you punch your knuckles into the floor. The palms would be facing each other. The arms are still shoulder width apart. On the inhale, relax the belly. Lift and lengthen from the tip of the tailbone to the crown of the head into extension. As you exhale, round the belly in, tuck the tailbone under, chin towards the chest, look to your belly button, and round the back up to the ceiling. So the inhale is a gentle back bend into extension. This helps decompress the spine, really healthy for our back. And the exhale rounds us up into flexion, which stretches the muscles of the back, especially if we hold tension in the low back between the shoulder blades. I want you to continue to flow in and out at your rhythm. Those of us in our chair, fingertips to knees. Same thing on the inhale, I'm going to gently arch my low back, float the chin up, and keep my neck long. On the exhale, pull my belly in, scoop the tailbone under, spread my shoulder blades, and look down towards the navel to stretch out the back. The inhale is your gentle back bend, lengthening. Exhale, scooping, tucking, and rounding to stretch out those muscles. Let's balance ourselves out. And then come back to a neutral position. And we'll give our wrists and hands a break here. So we'll move into our first child's pose. If you have a favorite variation of child's pose, by all means, go into it. I would recommend wide knee child's pose to go a little deeper into the hips and to help relax the belly a little bit more. So we open the knees wider than the hips, touch the toes behind us, and then drop and sink the hips to the heels. I'll continue to walk my fingertips forward, hands nice and wide, even a little wider than the shoulders, and I'm dropping the belly, the heart, and the head to the ground. If you're more of the active stretch, your elbows are floating as the heart melts, so get a nice opening across the front of the chest. Now, if the head doesn't comfortably come all the way down to the ground, cross your arms underneath your forehead or slide a pillow or a prop under the forehead. You want the head to be grounded. If that is too much for your knees, take your big pillow or folded blanket and sit it behind you. Or just keep your hips higher up in the air, resting down on your forearms in more of a puppy pose. We'll hold for several breaths here, so just let your body absorb the pose. My chair people, we'll open our feet a little wider. You might want to scooch a little even more forward on the chair. Knees are open wide. I might just drop down to my forearms. I can drop the head into the webbing of my thumb and index finger. So I'm still stretching out the back through the hips. Some of us might be able to go a little further. You just need to be very mindful of your low back. So if you want to go a little further from the chair, slide your hands down the outsides of the legs, rest the inner shoulders on the thigh bones, and then allow the head and the arms to drop towards the ground. But remember, if you go down there, you got to get yourself back up. So that's the thing to remember. Now let's continue to breathe deeply. This is a nice stretch for the lumbar spine and the hips. And child's pose itself is a really restorative pose. So if you are experiencing any headaches from fasting, that fatigue, this pose can really help. If you've noticed sleep disturbances, child's pose helps improve the quality of our sleep and reduces our restlessness. So let's all take one more deep breath in the pose. And then on our inhale from the ground, we'll float the head and the body up. You'll bring your knees back to face forward in your tabletop. Once again, give one leg a stretch at a time, pressing the heel towards the ground so that we can get the blood flowing from down those legs, behind the knees. If you were bowed forward in your chair, use the abdominal muscles, roll up one vertebra at a time, use your hands on your thighs. And again, you can stretch your feet up and forward one at a time to stretch out the backs of the knees. The next pose we'll move into is downward facing dog pose. This will be a gentle inversion. So as we're fasting, blood pressure does change. We tend to get lower blood pressure. So just be mindful of that. We can always take a break and drop back down to the ground. From tabletop, fingers nice and wide, we'll walk our hands one hand's distance forward so your arms are more at an angle. Toes are tucked under. Round that low belly in and press the ground away from you, hovering the hips up, back, and down. From here, you want nice parallel alignment in your feet, toes facing forward. Bend your knees deeply if you have tension in the low back or tight hamstrings. Pedal your heels one heel at a time, bending the opposite knee to intensify that stretch. As you're doing that, you're rooting down into the mound of the index finger and the thumb, but externally rotating the head of the arm bones away from the ears. So we want the neck to be long, the head floating. We are rounding that low belly in, belly towards the thighs, thighs towards the back. Now my chair people, you can stand up and turn around. If you're using a sofa or something that's permanent, that's fine. If you're using a chair, we want it on a non-sliding surface so it's safe and secure. Place the palms of the hands on the edge of the chair. Take a step back with your feet. Again, they're parallel, about hips width apart. Drawing your sit bones back and lengthening out the spine. So you can still get a nice benefit here of stretching out the shoulders, decompressing the spine. Even pedal one heel up at a time. Other option is to use a wall. So if you're near a wall, you place your hands about shoulder height, walk your feet back so you're a little higher up in the pose. Again, extend the sit bones back and just open up the front of the body, stretching out the back of the body. Wherever we are, I want you to find stillness in your pose. Cycle through one complete breath here. On the inhale, filling yourself up. And exhale, allow the body to absorb the pose. So we'll transition from downward facing dog into a standing forward fold. So that people on the floor, you'll bend your knees and start to baby step your feet to your hands, hands to your feet. I'll also give you modifications here. First modification, if you don't want to be in that deeper fold, bend your knees deeply. Place your elbows or your hands on top of your thighs. Those of you that want to go into the deeper version of the pose, try to straighten the legs up, pulling up to the front of the thighs, drawing that low belly in strongly, and releasing the head and the arms towards the ground, or taking hold of opposite elbows here, swaying the head and shoulders gently to help release tension in the upper body. Super important that your legs are strong, feet are active, and you're drawing in through your abdominals to protect your back. My chair people. Same thing, you can bring your feet a little bit closer, maybe bring your forearms down to the seat of the chair, and just gently loosen up the head, but the feet and the legs are still strong. Now to come up, again, blood pressure. We need to make sure that we're inhaling. So I want us all to place our hands on our thighs with the fingertips turned in. You'll bend into your knees a little bit and tuck the chin. And on the inhale, we'll round it up. One vertebra at a time. Bringing the head over the shoulders, shoulders over the hips. So we're in our mountain pose. Float the arms away from the body slightly here. And from our standing position, like I said, if you get lightheaded, I want you to sit down immediately on your chair or on the floor, because that can happen as the blood pressure regulates. From our mountain pose, feet are parallel, knees pointing towards the toes. Draw in through that low belly. Let's take another nice deep breath in, this time reaching the arms out wide and overhead. Nice big stretch here. And on the exhale, bringing the hands to the heart center. So we are going to do a little bit of balance here. Balance work can help bring balance back into the body. Make sure you're in a safe space. Option to use a wall or the back of the chair, as long as the chair isn't sliding around. This next pose is called palm tree pose. It helps tone and strengthen the lower half of the body. Again, inhale, draw a nice big circle, reach your arms up, float those heels up on your tippy toes, bring your palms to touch. As you exhale, you lower the heels and the hands to heart. And we'll do that several times with your breath. If you're using the support of a prop, inhale, just focus on lifting the heels up, strengthening the legs. It's a nice way to stretch out those legs from sitting, and then exhale, lower. You can even try one arm at a time from the chair, inhaling, lifting, exhaling it down, and then switch arms. Good. Let's all float through 2 more with our breath. Eyes nice and steady. Next time we lower down, we'll pause here and practice one more balancing pose today. So this is called star pose. Open your feet a little bit wider than the hips now. We'll shift our weight over into the right leg. So our right side is nice and strong, rooting in towards the earth. We might notice that this allows the left leg to get a little lighter. From here, just try to lift and lower your left toes a couple times. The chair, again, will act as support, leaning to the right, and just floating that foot up, lifting and lowering the toes. Trying to take this a step further now. Try to keep the left foot floating in the air and hover. Relax your arms down beside the body and pretend like you're balancing on a tightrope here. And then on our next inhale, we'll float the leg up using the muscles. If you want to go here, you can stay soft, you can keep the toes down, or we'll start to engage the side bodies, reaching the arms up to a V, contracting the left side of the body, trying to lift the leg up a little higher. Notice your breath. Face should be nice and relaxed. Let's take one more nice breath in. On the exhale, I want you to try to land as softly as possible, going right back into Tadasana, mountain pose. And pause. Try to let go of any unnecessary movements. Keep your focus. Inhale, extend the arms up. Bring the palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart. Leaning towards our left side now. Lift and lower those toes a couple times. Left side nice and strong. Eventually hovering the foot from the floor. Soften the arms down beside you. See how light you can be balancing on one leg. Choosing to stay here in the softer version, a little bit more dynamic. Spread your fingers and toes. Using the muscles to lift the leg up and the arms out into a V. Again, just float the head on the shoulders. Relax the face. The breath is even and steady. One more nice big breath in. On the exhale, land as softly as possible, right back to mountain pose, pause. So balancing poses, really healthy for the brain. They help improve our memory, concentration, and focus. Take one more nice deep breath in. And then exhale, relax. So if you had a prop nearby, we're gonna do another transition. So we'll come back towards the front of our mat or in your space. Feet parallel to each other, toes pointing forward, knees to toes. Remember to unlock those knees, lifting up to the front of the quads. Extend the arms slightly away from you, palm or fingertips reaching away from the shoulders, and ears over shoulders. Drawing front body to back body. Mountain pose. Nice deep breath in. Extend your arms out wide and overhead. Extended mountain. You can draw your eyes upwards for a little bit of extension. Now on this exhale, micro bend your knees. Swan dive your arms out wide and hinge from the hips. Moving back down into our forward fold. Remember, you can stop halfway or to the seat of your chair if you're not going all the way into it. Or continue to let the head and the arms release. Grab a hold of the elbows, ragdoll. So this pose does get the blood flowing towards the head, so it can help with fatigue. It might help with headaches, but you just need to understand that increases too much pressure, then you'll want to modify to come out. On our next inhale, bring your hands to your shins or higher. Float the chest up, little back strengthening in the upper back. And then this exhale, we're going to find our mats again. Revisit downward facing dog. So if you're on the ground, you can bring your hands forward and step your feet back to downward facing dog. Take a moment to transition. If you're modifying with the chair at a wall, again, fingers spread wide, hands as wide as your shoulders. So the next poses that we'll go into will work a little bit better if you can make it down to the floor. Otherwise, just do your best to modify in your seat. My down dog people, let's inhale, float our heels up as high as we can into the creases of those toes. On the exhale, we'll drop our knees back to the ground, point the toes. More traditional child's pose, we keep the knees together, sinking the hips to the heels, sliding the hands all the way back to the feet, palms up, and then bowing the head back down towards the ground, allowing the weight of the arms to just drop towards the ground. Take one breath there. And then we'll tuck the chin, hands under the shoulders, and roll it up one vertebra at a time, sitting back on the heels. If that's an option, if not, you can transition through tabletop. We'll shift our hips over to one side and then bring our feet forward. So we are going to come back to some seated postures here. On the ground, I still would like you to be propped up on a little bit of support. So again, it might just be a bath towel that you folded in a quarter to give yourself a little bit of a lift. If you have a cushion or pillow, you can also take that. So we'll sit up on the edge of our prop and move into Baddha Konasana or bound angle pose. So we're drawing the soles of the feet to touch, allowing the knees to fall open here. It's important to keep that length up the back of the spine. You can draw your feet in as close towards that pubic bone as is comfortable. Even take your hands beside your hips, floating up a little bit and trying to find the front of your sit bones here. Keeping the heart open, hands move to the feet or the ankles. We're just allowing gravity to stretch up those inner thighs. Those of us that want a little bit more of a stretch and go into the more restorative version here as a forward fold is calming for the mind and body normally. Hands can walk forward. If you have a pillow or a prop, place it out in front of you to rest the head. If you're like me, I don't have the space and mobility to go that far into the pose, but I'm still receiving a nice stretch here in and around the hips where we tend to hold some tension. I do want you to lead with the heart. And those of you that maybe do have the space, continue to walk your hands forward and then begin to melt the belly, the heart, and the head towards the ground or your props. We'll take one more deep breath. The inhale will float the crown of the head up. Take your time. If you've gone further into it, walk your hands in towards you. Realign the spine. Take a hold of those knees and float your knees up. Give them a little squeeze. And then we'll move into a seated twist. So another twist here to keep our digestive system working. Extend both legs out in front of you into Dandasana or staff pose. Keep a little bend up in the knees if you have tight hamstrings, so that again we can maintain a nice tall spine. If you notice you try to straighten out your legs and you get pulled backwards, it's tight hamstrings and low backs. So bending your knees, sitting up a little higher will help keep the back nice and tall. We'll step our right foot in towards the front of the right sit bone. I want the left leg just as active, toes pulling back towards the shin bone. Take a hold of your right shin. Use that as a support and anchor to help lift and lengthen up to the crown of the head. From here, the left arm wraps around your right shin bone, floating the right fingertips behind you. No weight in that hand. The spine stays long and tall. There's a rod, like a staff, running up the back. I am hugging that knee in towards me, breathing it in, and on my exhale, gently twist to your right. Keep your shoulders and chin parallel to the floor. Continue to breathe as you bring everything out again, drawing the shoulders around, the head, neck, and eyes can follow. Look to that furthest point behind you. One more deep breath in. And on the exhale, we'll release. We'll turn the head and the body back forward, unwinding. Stretch the right leg out in front of you. To release the pose, take a quick break. Sit up nice and tall on both sit bones. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So we'll step the left foot in front of that sit bone, flex the right foot, sit up nice and tall, hands to shin bone, lift up to the crown of the head. Take the right arm, hug that left shin bone, left fingertips float behind you. No weight in the hand, use your muscles to sit up nice and tall. Right leg should be nice and active, toes pointing towards the shin bone. Inhaling, create some space. And on the exhale, we'll gently start to wring everything out through the shoulders, the neck, the head, and the eyes. Peek behind you. So we're purposely compressing the abdominal walls here, massaging the internal organs, again, stimulating our digestive system. Give me one more big breath in. And on the exhale, unwind, release the twist through the head, the neck, and shoulders and body. Face forward. Bring that left leg back out into Dandasana. Bend the knees up if needed. Sit up nice and tall. And then we'll come off of our prop and we're going to work our way down onto our backs to wrap up our class today. Safest way to come onto the back is to take your hands and lock yourself down onto one side. And then carefully roll onto your back. We'll have to readjust our body so that we realign the head with the spine, loosen up your clothing. If you happen to have ponytails, you need to move them out of the way so the back of the head can be grounded. Tuck those shoulder blades under. Walk your feet in, lengthen out that low back here for a moment. And then draw the belly in so that you can pull your knees up into the body. And just rock side to side, hands resting on the knees or the shin bones. Bring the knees to neutral, take a hold of the back of the thighs, and stretch the legs up here in waterfall pose. Point and flex the feet a couple times. You may massage up and down those hamstrings that get a little tight from all the sitting that we do. This is also a gentle inversion, so it redirects that blood flow towards our vital organs, towards the heart and the head, helps reduce stress and anxiety. Great pose to also benefit a healthy sleep patterns. So doing this at night, often called legs up the wall. So if you're in your bedroom on some soft carpeting or your yoga mat, you can scoot your bottom towards the wall and then you slide your legs up the wall so the wall does the work to support the legs. And then we'll take a hold of the outer thighs. Carefully open your legs nice and wide into a V stretch. Roll your ankles a few times, open up those inner thighs. If you want a deeper stretch, move your hands to the inside, massage those muscles for a moment. Keep the low back sinking to the ground, weight in the shoulders. Give me a nice deep breath in. On the exhale, squeeze and help those legs back up to our waterfall pose. Bend the knees. Keep your knees glued together, the feet parallel to each other. We'll go into one more twist. Spinal twist on the floor. Extend the arms out from the shoulders, palms down. On the exhale, we'll lower our knees over to the right. This would be a good time to place a pillow or prop under that bottom thigh if they don't easily come towards the ground. You want to sink your left shoulder back down. Place your right hand on that top thigh to deepen the twist. And the head can turn to the left here. Again, just taking a moment to wring everything out. Twists help take tension out of the muscles of the back and the abdominals. Maybe even close the eyes and just start to soften and relax the face, the throat, and the shoulders. The inhale floats the head and the knees back up to center. You might need to do a little scooch before your other side. Glue the knees together, feet parallel. Exhale, lower your knees to the left. Again, add support underneath that thigh if you'd like. Left hand can rest on the top thigh for a little bit more. Sinking the right shoulder back down towards the floor. Turning the head to the right for a counter twist. Simply be and breathe. Let gravity take over here. On the inhale, head floats up. Float those knees back up. Recenter the body. This time, try to reach across those shin bones. Grabbing a hold of opposite elbows or wrists. Floating the head up towards the knees and giving our body a nice big squeeze here. Appreciating our body for everything they just gave to us in our practice. Let's take one more deep breath in. And on the exhale, we'll release, dropping the head to the ground, dropping the feet back down to the floor. So from here, we'll move into our final relaxation. I'll give us some options. You'll choose what works best for you. If you're comfortable where you are, slide your shoulder blades under, roll the arms open equally away from the body, palms up. If you take care of the low back, knees stay bent up, open the feet slightly wider, turn the toes in, and let the knees fall in. Or simply stretch your legs out into Shavasana. The legs can be wide, the feet can flop open. If you happen to gather up some props at the beginning of class today, this is a great time to add them so you can roll to one side, bring a little bit of support behind the head, taking our larger pillows underneath the legs for a little bit of support for behind the thighs and the knees. If you have that eye covering, your washcloth, a scarf, add that across the eyes, gently helping the eyes to relax. And then make your adjustments, so loosen things up. We want to find the place that we feel the most comfortable here so that we can relax. I will guide us through a little bit of verbal relaxation through the body. And then I'll give us several moments of peace and quiet. And then I'll use my singing bowl today to bring us out of Shavasana, where we will finish our practice together. So once you're in your comfortable place, take an easy breath in through the nose, fill the body up. And on this exhale, release the whole weight of the body to the ground, letting go of any tension or tightness in the body. Let the back of the head sink towards the ground, smoothing the skin of the forehead and brow. Let the eyes sink into the sockets. Poof the cheeks with air, wiggle out the mouth, the tongue, and jaw. Relax the throat. Feel an opening across the front of the heart and the chest as you let the weight of the shoulders sink into the ground. Relaxing all the way down from the shoulders to the elbows, elbows to the wrists. Relax the hands, let the fingertips curl up naturally. Relax the back of the heart, the space between the shoulder blades, and all the way down the back, vertebra by vertebra. Release the low back into the ground. Relax the muscles around the waist. Soften the belly. Relax all of the abdominal muscles and internal organs. You might notice a gentle rise and fall of the belly with the breath. And then relax those larger muscles of the hips, the hip sockets, the glutes, the tops and backs of the thighs. And just like water, allow that relaxation to flow all the way down the legs, into the ankles, the feet, and toes. Relax the soles of the feet. Relax the whole body. Soften and relax the inside of the body. The breath becomes easy, quiet, and calm. If the mind wanders or becomes distracted, with love and compassion, bring the mind back to the peaceful breath, giving ourselves just one more moment to let go, to feel a sense of surrender, and to simply be and breathe. Gently coming back to the breath. Breathing life back into the body. Waking up the toes, the fingertips, a gentle rock of the head side to side, rolling the wrists and the ankles. The next inhale, if we're lying on the floor, we'll re-extend the arms overhead, stretching everything out here. Spread the toes and the fingertips. Create space in the body, side to side, front to back. Breathe it in. Exhale, breathe it out. Float your arms down, walk the feet in, and hug the knees up into the body. Rock across the back side to side. Right arm falls beside the head, rolling all the way onto our right side, pausing here in sleeping baby pose. The head rests on the arm. Left hand falls to the floor in front of the heart. And then try to keep the eyes closed or very soft. Press down into the ground. Extend the top leg away from you to help the body come back up. We will revisit any comfortable seated position and finish our practice with just a couple more breaths together today. Propping ourselves up on our sit bones, sitting up nice and tall to the crown of the head, being mindful of our surroundings. Re-extend the arms out to the side, palms up. Another deep breath in to float those arms all the way up to the ceiling and to gather up everything we need for the rest of our day. Turn those palms back out, big breath out, floating the fingertips all the way back down to the floor and letting go of all that other junk we don't need today. And one more big breath together. Inhale, arms up. Bring the palms to touch. Exhale the hands to the heart. Humbly bowing the head down towards the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and anyone else that made it possible for us to practice yoga together today. And I thank each and every one of you for your patience, for your practice, for taking the time to do something good for yourself and benefits everybody else that we'll come in contact with, because hopefully we'll be in a better place as well. So thank you again. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to share. You can find me at yogitayoga.org, an association for these classes with muslimspace.org and austinyogatree.com. So have a wonderful day. Thank you.